All right, guys. So we have another interesting tidbit here for you as I read into 1949 in some of these old newspapers. There's all sorts of interesting things that happened back then. So we're going to go ahead and just jump right into this. We'll go back here to the screen view. I'll make this a little bit easier for us to see. There we go. This is from the St. Louis Globe-Democrat. I was looking for the Chicago Tribune, but the pages are strangely scammed. So I'm not sure what's going on with the May 1st edition of the Chicago Tribune, 1949, but whatever. Cards nip Cubs 4-3 and ninth undisputed homer. Pafko claims fair catch on Nelson's blow. So the Cardinals won this game in the top of the ninth with 3 runs, and this is a little bit controversial. A hotly disputed inside the park home run that left most of the huge crowd roaring its disapproval gave the Cardinals a 4-3 victory over the Cubs here today. The victory, disputed by the fans or not, brought the Birds back to the 500 mark for the season and brought them even into this present series with Chicago at 1 triumph each. With the Cards trailing 3-2 in the ninth inning and Big Bob Rush seemingly invincible, the outlook for St. Louis was as dark as the clouds that hovered over the field all afternoon. Stan Musial had already struck out to open the frame to make it even darker. Then Enos Slaughter caught a fat one and doubled to the center field wall. This gave the St. Louis contingent, small though it was, something to cheer about. But when Ron Northey tapped to Rush, it appeared that the game was doomed. The spark wasn't quite dead, though, for Eddie Kozak blooped a single over third to score Slaughter and set the stage for Glenn Nelson. Nelson, after working the count to 1-1 against the smooth-toiling Rush, lashed the next ball in the general direction of Andy Pafko in center field. Pafko came in fast, took a diving backhand stab for the ball, and it looked like the game was over. The Chicago Gardener rolled up a couple of times and came up with his glove covered, but with no word from umpire Al Barlick that Pafko had made a fair catch, both Kozak and Nelson streaked the bases. Kozak crossed without a try as Pafko, claiming that he had caught the ball, came running toward the infield. By the time Pafko had reached second, where Barlick was calling his shots, he realized that the play was still on and wildly threw the ball to catcher Bob Sheffing. Nelson likely would have beaten it anyway, but since the ball bounced off his shoulders, he crossed home and didn't matter. So that was the finishing touch of the day's scoring, and that's the way that this one ended. That is a absolutely bizarre way for a game to end. So the Cubs had victory that was certain, and they were able to clinch defeat out of the grasp of the victory. I mean, that one's just absolutely wild, and that's sort of typical, I guess, of the 1949 Cubs, which, as we've seen, is they're not exactly like the best team in the world. To have a catch like that, to have Pafko, instead of like throwing the ball, try to run in with it and argue with the ball still in his hand while the runners are streaking around the bases, is just absolutely incredible. The Cardinals actually were down 3-1 going into the ninth inning, and managed to score those 3 runs to win it, and that's the way that it counted. And of course, as you know, as things turned out in 1949, that was actually really important because the Cardinals ended up in a tight pennant race with the Brooklyn Dodgers. And if you don't have that win at Chicago, you don't have necessarily the same type of tight pennant race. So it goes to show that there are no games too big or too small. There you have it. If you're doing your own replay project, I again recommend doing a little research and finding out about all these crazy things that happen, because it kind of makes things a little bit more interesting and a little bit more fun. We'll leave it at that. Talk to you tomorrow. Bye-bye.